much for coming back and really appreciate it in there. So today we have a really set of amazing speakers again. So we're pretty excited to share a lot of having them share the insight. But what I think, I'll just start with share a couple of minutes about maybe some of our thinkings. So first one, the way we think about, how do we think about this things that we're building? So we think about this, why we even have this conference. We like to collaborate. The idea is we think of VSee, our software system, plus you, plus all the different our partners in there. We create our platform to make it super simple. So our thinking is we want to create a Home Depot digital health. The whole idea is you might need some building block. It's more like here's the menu of options. Then you add in your pieces in there. Then you combine together. So that's your telehealth. That's how we think about what we're trying to do. And one of the interesting things is we actually now have a bunch of different interesting hardware relationships. So for example, if you need blood pressure cuff, you need, let's say, wireless scale, we could actually source it through our partners. We feel pretty confident at the absolute lowest cost possibly in there. We're pretty excited. So this will give you, again, our business models on purpose. We do not make money on the hardware, so give you a lot of options. Then the next thing on the This Smart Conduct, again, the idea is that This Smart Conduct plus your provider network, the way we think about it is creating an Airbnb like talent as a service. Again, our whole model is everything you do under your brand. So you need building blocks, we give you building blocks. Now, one of the things, one of the common questions I get asked is we get asked to do a lot of consulting services in there. People say, why do telehealth projects fail, right? People, they will go to something like ATA, so everything's amazing in there. So when they try to do their own telehealth project, often they get adoption issues, just all sort of things in there. And then when they even look at other people's telehealth project, often is they actually run into issues. So turn out we actually think the recent telehealth projects is actually very similar to why most startups fail. Just like typical rule of thumb, right? About 90% of the startups fail. And turn out that one of the reasons is just the destination for the startup with the telehealth project is unclear. So what I mean by this is because it's something so new in there, right? So what is your final destination for the telehealth, right? So sometimes that's not clear. So turn out that is, so for example, one of the common questions I get asked is, okay, so say, okay, I got this idea, I want to build a telehealth mobile app. People ask me, how much does it cost? So then our normal answer to them is like, that's almost not the right question in there. We could build anything you want for that, but what the missing is, you should expect you have to do a lot of pivot. Whatever things you're gonna build, you have to change it next month, because target is moving in there. Because we actually don't know what the final thing is, right? There's a lot of innovation needs to be done. So turn out the better question is, if you could design your telehealth project, what is the process you can make pivots? How do you make those decisions? How do you make those changes? If you haven't thought through that process, chances are your telehealth project will fail in there. So another thing, slightly annoying to me in there, so we have participated in like hundreds of the RFPs and all these things. And when we go through this process, so our observation is most of the RFPs are actually just sort of almost force the project to fail. Again, the reason is this is not a commodity. This is not buying a refrigerator or buying something. So because the target is unknown, right? So it's ended up is whatever you're going to aim to build. If you satisfy that, chances are you will fail because you don't have a way to do pivot to make changes in there. And then one of the things we get really inspired, so in our early days of company, we did tons of work with the US Navy SEALs. And in fact, when Bin Laden was killed, I was actually physically with the Navy SEAL Team 2. We were doing some stuff in there. They made a pause thing that made this announcement in there. So what I was inspired by, so when the Navy SEAL is known for making quick decisions in there, so the way they make decisions very clearly separate between reversible versus one-way decisions. So the whole idea is, right, that most of the decisions are reversible. Like, for example, you go to a restaurant, you hate the food, big deals, right? You just don't go there anymore. Like, no. And there are very few decisions are one way. I mean, say you jump out of the helicopter there, there's no one coming picking up until you go to the extraction point. Right? So turn on the most enterprises, they treat all decisions as though it's one way. So versus we think about for telehealth, just do it, right? Instead of even setting a meetings in there, often you could actually just do your telehealth in, get the data, and you could do things very easily. And as you have the data, then those data will let you make much better decisions in there. And then finally, one of our recommendation for every enterprise to create a very successful telehealth project is create a chief time officer. Just like most enterprises, you have a chief financial officer, right? You're going to a restaurant, you count how much food, did you go over budget? But turn on, in most enterprises, you actually waste more time on making poor decisions in there. So I'll give one of our examples. When our superstar, this American doc physicians, Jose Osorio, she's super amazing cardiologist. So he's about 3 times more productive than the average cardiologist there. Phenomenal, generate tons of money for his hospital. The trick for his productivity is he support him all the way from the marketing team to the nurses, MA to screen the. So it turned out that because of all the support team around him, he become extremely productive compared to the average physician there. So our recommendation when you think about telehealth, because telehealth naturally leave traces to all these steps, is naturally give you a way to do these quantifying productivity in there. And having the concept of a chief time officer, this will allow you to create, again, extremely effective telehealth programs.